As the saying goes, today in Uganda you need a lot of connections in order to find a job. Well, I don't know how true that is, but we'll get to find out. Thank you for joining us on today's episode of The Real Talk with me, Ayot Lillian, on Westnile TV every Saturdays from 9 to 10 p.m. From 8 to 10 p.m. we do this, and our repeats run on Thursdays from 9 to 10 a.m. So make sure you do not miss any episode in the course of the week. Thank you for joining us, and today we have an interesting topic for discussion. But before that, here in Arua, it's a chilly day and a chilly night. I hope you're grabbing a cup of coffee as you catch this show. And for you who think you're single and it's very cold, I hope you're comfortable in your blankets as you catch us on our YouTube channel, Westnile TV. Like, subscribe, leave a comment. We'll have read your comments here. We're also live on Facebook. You can catch us on Star Times and Zuku, so make sure you don't miss any episode. And today, like I said, we are talking about one of the hitting topics in the country, that is unemployment. Many of the population in Uganda, most of it is made up of young people, and most of these people are unemployed. I don't want to say most, but we'll get the statistics together with these guests here in the studio. We'll get to know the percentage of unemployed youth in this country, or people generally. Unemployment is a big problem that we face in this country, because there are people who have the papers but they still don't have the jobs, and there are those who don't have the papers, they're working. So people want to establish what the problem is. The problems, the causes vary from individual to individual, and from place to place. I may say some of the causes could be that some of you lack connections, like you said, and some do not have the academic qualifications. Some people have the academic qualifications, but then other issues also come in. But the effects are also adverse on individuals and families at large. So we're having this discussion today here in the studio with our guests. We have very important people here, I must say. I'm privileged to have a veterinary doctor here with us. He'll get time to introduce himself. He is also the Speaker of Westnile Youth Parliament here, so he's in the studio, one of the right people to address the issue of the youth here on unemployment, especially in Westnile region. And we have on my left, we have a beautiful lady who is the youth Female Affair for Youth Arua District. She'll have time to introduce herself properly. She's also a communications specialist and a journalist at the same time. It's a pleasure having you here. So before we dive any further, I'd like them to personally introduce themselves to our viewers. You're most welcome to Westnile TV, starting with you, our doctor.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ayot, Lillian, for giving me the opportunity to come and share my thoughts and also my opinions on concerns of the young people. My name's Pario Demos Agamba. Like earlier said, a veterinary doctor by profession, and I work with Omia Agribusiness Company as the operations manager for the animal section. And I also happen to politically be the speaker for Westnile Youth Parliament. So I'm the voice of majority of young people in Westnile. And it's unfortunate that many young people are actually not aware of this great platform. I believe the chance I've gotten to be on air will also enable me to dive a little into what Westnile Youth Parliament is all about, so that they can be able to rightfully channel some of their concerns, which can be able to reach the rightful people. Thank you so much. I believe I will be able to offer what I can afford in terms of my opinions and also my thoughts for the greater good of addressing this common challenge that we have as a country and probably as a continent, Africa. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Demos Agamba, for joining us here in the studio. Thank you so much. I believe at the right time you'll deliver the information that our youth are eagerly waiting to listen to. Don't change the channel. Of course, you're still here on The Real Talk. Like you said, you can also still share the links so that your friends can catch this discussion. I believe it's a very, very important thing that each one of us have to access at this point. So let's have the beautiful ladies say hi to all viewers. You're most welcome.
Thank you. Hello everyone. Good evening to you all. It's a chilly evening. I believe all of us are having a great evening. My name is Michael Hatfa. I represent the Female Youth of our district and the National Youth Council of Uganda. And by profession, I'm also a journalist and communications specialist. For now, I volunteer with Community Empowerment for Transformation Action. That is, it sits in the Youth Hub in Anyafio. Anytime you can go and visit us and have consultations where necessary. There are so many CSOs that sit there, around 38 and 20 are active. So anytime you're free, you can go and share whatever you feel needs to be addressed. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Hatifa. It's a pleasure having you here. And of course, our dear viewers, thank you for staying with us on this program as we kick off to our topic of today, which is unemployment. So we want to understand unemployment in whichever context it is. I know today the definitions have changed depending on the condition that the state in which people are, but we'll get to understand this from our guest. So I'll just kick straight by asking Mr. Agamba Demos to briefly tell us what he understands by unemployment.
Yes, thank you so much, Lillian, for that wonderful question. Unemployment, as of today in this country, perhaps maybe Africa, has become a common term used by so many people on the streets, at homes, in offices, and in various places. But people use it in different contexts. Many people understand it in different ways. So, as per me, I do understand unemployment as a situation whereby one is unable to get something to keep him or herself busy. Getting this something may be from a company or from government or even from your own initiative. So if you reach an extent where you can't get something either from the government or from any private entity or by your own initiative to do, and you become idle, less resourceful, it means you are unemployed. But to many people, they understand it as their inability to get job offer from the government or from the private entities. But I believe it must go beyond that. Even you as an individual, you can be able to create employment opportunity for yourself. But if you reach an extent where you can't think of an initiative to keep yourself as a person busy, then you have reached a state of being unemployed. So that's how I understand unemployment, which is far much different from what many of our young people here think. That's why when you go on many streets, you'll get to hear that we have gone to school, we have come home, we have papers, and we have no job. Because they believe that for you to be employed, it must be government to absorb you or a private company to absorb you, which to me is not the case.
Okay.
You see, there's someone who said that, someone said a beautiful thing, that you can only go to school to acquire the necessary knowledge so as to become creative and do something that can enable you to earn a living, which today has not been the case. So many people go to school with the intention that they acquire good papers, they apply and get jobs.
White-collar jobs.
Yeah, white-collar jobs.
Okay.
Now, when you look at our country as Uganda, we are blessed. However much our population keeps to grow annually by 3%. which in numbers is in numbers is around 1.2 million. It means annually in Uganda the number of people increase by 1.2 million. And
does the number of jobs increase?
The number of jobs, it increases, yes, but relative to the number of people that increase annually, it is way below.
Okay.
So this means if the government is to create opportunities, it does not have the capacity to absorb the increasing number. See, the increasing number is in terms of the new bonds, but then as time goes, these new bonds, they go through the processes of education and other things, and they reach a stage where they will need to seek job. You get? Okay. So meaning annually, if you look at the number of students and the number of people who have gone through the education system and are looking for job, it grows by some good number. And in the private sector, with the harsh condition that we have created in terms of taxes and other things, have failed to create more opportunities within themselves to absorb all these people. If you look at many of these companies that are running in this country, they fear to absorb more and also maybe give a considerable amount of money for young people, because in the end, somewhere you will be questioned and asked to provide answers.
Okay, we'll go deeper into that
yes.
a bit later. Let's first have Ms. Hatifa Ayukoro's input on what unemployment is. You're representing the unemployed youth of this region.
Yeah. Thank you, Lillian. And I think my brother Demos has digested. He has gone into a very deep dive of what unemployment entails. Just as he put it forward, unemployment is a state where somebody doesn't do something on a daily compared to someone who does something on a daily to get something at the end of the day. That is to get value out of what they do from their daily routines. And the value of the daily routine is money. And I would also say unemployment has a very broad perspective. It depends on an individual's understanding of what unemployment is. Some people believe me being unemployed means I am out of a government setting or a government structure. Once I'm not working there, I'm unemployed. And some people, for them, when they're in an organizational setting and they're not part of it, they're unemployed. But you can also see employment in another perspective. And now this zeroes down to the mindset of our people to understand what unemployment is. Somebody who is doing farm work on a daily feels he or she is still unemployed. And yet at the end of the day they are getting something out of the work that they're doing. Yes. Somebody goes to saloon every day, gets a penny out of the hard work that they do on a daily, and that is employment already. But still, they pronounce themselves unemployed
because they believe employment is
yes,
have a white-collar job.
Thank you. Sitting in an office, having a computer in front of you, or having a pen and writing something. So now, if you see in Uganda's setting, the highest population is youth, and mostly it's youths who are crying about unemployment. But you find at the end of the day, you find them eating something. Somebody gets something to eat at the end of the day, and they have what they need at the end of the day. So now, when it comes to unemployment, I think it depends on an individual. What is that you do on a daily that brings you value at the end of the day? That is employment. So it zeroes down to how one understands employment. Something that you do on a daily and brings you something on the table.
Okay, interesting. Some of you are actually employed and you still say you are unemployed. I can't imagine someone having a farm, you've planted things, at the end of which you're harvesting something and you're selling, you're getting money, you still believe you're unemployed. I don't know what we understand by self-employment, but that is that. We're still going to that. Picking from what our doctor said, he said something about, people going to school, having a paper, but then they just come and sit at home. It reminds me of one of the songs here in Westnile that goes by late Jack P. He says, Pepachi, Azio, Amaron, Jai stress. So, like, that's the anthem on the street. People have papers, and the papers are inside, like rats are eating them, but they don't have jobs. So, we want to understand what is the relationship between education and unemployment.
Yeah, of late, I've become very concerned about the effects or the side effects of the knowledge that we are attaining out of education, out of the exposure. Somehow, it has come with a lot of negative impacts into the society. I think last month I was following the story of AI, artificial intelligence, something that was invented in US, and I could see people becoming very creative to make or create a lot of technology things that can be able to ease work. People are coming up with robots that can be able to cook. People are coming up with the robots that can be able to even do office work, because they only work under command. The only thing you need to do is to signal them of what they're supposed to do. And yet, these things actually, in the long run, they are going to be a source of unemployment for the people, because they are going to push a lot of people out. If I'm going to get a robot that can do for me office work, it means I may not need an office attendant.
Sure.
If I'm going to get a robot that's going to cook for me food, it means I'm not going to need someone to come and help me as a house helper. We now have machines that do a lot of things. There's a machine that washes utensils, there's one that washes clothes, a lot of things. These things have pushed us, many of us, out of the employment sector. Like Hatfa was clearly trying to put, employment does not necessarily mean that you must sit in an office, a fancy office, you are doing work maybe on laptop or something, and they pay you at the end of the month. Employment can actually be, you see, that's why I was saying that the context of people ignoring personal initiative to create for them employment is a big challenge. When you go to school...
So before we go any further, I would like you to elaborate on the types of employment.
Yes, thank you so much. There is what they call formal employment. The formal is not the one we talk about where the government absorbs you or a private sector absorbs you, and you are being paid. But then there is informal, where you can actually employ yourself. I was trying to bring out a point of Uganda, where our land as a country, we are blessed with a very resourceful land, around 200 plus square meters or square miles of land in Uganda, and out of this, at least half or more is a potential land which can be utilized for agriculture. Yes, and when one gets out of school, trust me, the most available resource that one can easily have is land. Because when you look at our land system, it is customary. It means my parents can pass on land from their father or grandparents to me. So obviously, when I come out to school, or right now as I speak, I can come out and openly say that I have some land. And this is it, already available so that one can start with. So when you have this, when you get the knowledge from school, you come home and try to consolidate that knowledge and use it for proper benefit out of it, then you can be able to employ yourself. For example, you can venture into, let's say, vegetable farming, where you are doing tomatoes, cabbages, and trust me, there are people that I know, there are people that have visited who are into this and are earning a lot of money out of this, actually more than people who are in offices. There is a gentleman I know, whom I'm very sure is not watching this right now, because where he is, probably there may be no network. But this is a gentleman who is doing farming on only 5 acres of land, and at least after every 3 months is able to make 30 to 40 million out of what he does. So meaning he has properly employed himself, and in the process there are people who are helping him, so he's also employing others. So you can see how creative one can be after attaining knowledge from school. And then I've seen it in developed countries like Europe, like US. People have become so creative. Like today I was discussing with a friend how people are now creating so many kind of sports. There's sports for carrying stones, sports for boxing, there's sports for whatever. We have watched them on TV. For us, we see to watch these things for leisure, but for them, it's a source of living.
Yes.
And in the process, this thing is going to create employment for so many people. They may need coaches, they need players. Some of these will become big because they have made money. They need security men to move around them. They need so many things. So you can see how people have become creative to create opportunities for us to absorb the ever-increasing population. Something we have not reached to as a country. Something we can actually venture into. Because if you look at our country, we have so many people with different kind of talents. And if you were to utilize these talents and make them as sports that can be recognized with the proper regulations, and it will in the end act as source of employment, because it's going to absorb people who have those talents. It's going to create opportunity for people to be as coaches, to be the other things that the sports may need. So I think this is why we must properly utilize our education to become creative, create opportunities out of personal initiative or out of good intentional thinking of the government.
Thank you. Thank you for that detailed, information. I believe now we understand what it is. He talked about formal and informal employment. So when you always want to be in the office, you forget that you can actually create a job for yourself and employ yourself. Some of you are working, like you said, in salons, and you still consider yourselves unemployed. I don't know how that is, but it's a question of it varying from individual to individual. So quickly coming to Hatifa, we still want to understand, before I go there, there are people who have papers and they believe they deserve to just sit in office and do white collar jobs, but then they have opportunities to actually do these other things, and but they feel like, no, it's not at my level. I did a degree, so I can't go in the field and dig, or maybe, deal in vegetable farming. So we have so much of that attitude as, especially the young people. That's why most of us at home, but don't misunderstand. So Hatifa, briefly, let us understand the relationship between education and unemployment.
Thank you. First of all, thank you for the opportunity. You see, an educated person can actually use the knowledge gained from the school, or because school does not only give you the knowledge for you to sit in an office, it gives you a knowledge that can make you innovative, creative, so that you can, out of the knowledge, have something to do, even if you do not get into an office to do a formal job. Now, the school gives you that now as an individual. How do I use the knowledge to become innovative and
quickly, before you actually go into that, most people have been complaining our curriculum is more of theoretical than practical. I don't know how true that is, and how has it contributed to unemployment?
Thank you. Our curriculum, I don't want to have a deeper dive into curriculum because I don't know anything about it, and also we have already a new curriculum that is going to start with the current senior theories, and the trends have changed. I don't want to talk about it. But even though our curriculum taught us to be only in class or to do more of theoretical things and not practical, but then there are things that are taught. Now it is up to you to be creative. That's why my brother Demos stated that an employment is something that you can develop within yourself and be creative or innovative and do something that can bring food on table or bring something at the end of the day. Now our curriculum, you remember we did agriculture. I don't know how many of us offered agriculture, but there is that part in agriculture where they teach you how to plant a crop and the processes that are involved. They give you all the processes.
Yeah.
Now for us, we just read those things to pass a paper, knowing that at the end of the day I will be in an office, maybe agricultural office, a district, a city, and be typing things on computer, and not knowing that if I use that knowledge, if I go back to the book and use that knowledge, it can actually make me very creative and innovative, and I go to farm and use the very processes that's so-called theoretical, and make it practical. And it makes something come out and make me employed.
Okay,
yes.
So that's your understanding of education.
Now again, when somebody is educated, the person can create, can bridge the gap between unemployment. That comes in when I am employed, Lillian. I have the skills already. I have the knowledge. So now, let's say now for my area of expertise, that is communication. Videography was part of it, photography, multimedia and stuff like that. So now I can be creative and use that knowledge, bring the relationship closer between unemployment and education, yes, and use that to be employed. And also at the same time, somebody can be employed, somebody can be educated or unemployed, but still from there they can, you see these days in Uganda, you can be educated and still be unemployed. Now it is on technical know-how, not how. Whether you have the skills or no one knows about you. Thank you. Whether you have the skills or not, no one knows about you. So it's basically you having the skills and having the knowledge that you can use to bridge the gap between unemployment, that you can use to bring the relationship closer. First of all, you're educated, you have the skills, you have the knowledge, and you've gone through the so-called theoretical class processes. Now, can you get something, like, can you bridge that relationship between education and unemployment and bridge the gap and bring the relationship closer? Okay. Yes.
Thank you very much, Hatifa, for airing that out. So what she's basically saying is, much as many people have been saying, our education, our curriculum has been more of theoretical than practical, but she says you can use that knowledge and put it into practice to employ yourself and do something better for yourself rather than waiting for white-collar jobs, These jobs are scarce. There are so many people sitting at home with their degrees, all seeking the job that we are all running after. So, and if you have the papers, it doesn't make any sense when you say that kind of job is dirty, I can't do it. So you just have to let go of the attitude, swallow your pride, and do what needs to be done. Otherwise, you still remain in the state of being unemployed. Turning to our doctor. So, doctor, let's understand the connection. A lot of people have been saying for you to be employed these days in Uganda, you need to know someone. You must have an uncle in the army, you must have an auntie working at the hospital, you must have a friend or a boyfriend working somewhere so that you are connected. How has that contributed to unemployment in this country?
Very good question. As a concerned citizen of this country, I must say that many of our systems have been compromised, right from education system, coming to the employment sector, a lot of things have been compromised. My sister Atfa was put in, it's about technical, who you know. But I think it has become more of who you know and who knows you. Because, for example, all of us know President Museveni.
Yes.
But as you know us, it's a big question.
That's a big question.
Yes. So it's about who you know and who knows you. And this has affected a lot of things in this country. First of all, for serious Ugandans who have the brain, who have the capacity to even become a professional in certain areas, they must need some things to reach there. Now, when you look at most of our cutoff points for the public universities, they have been high. It means for you to succeed, to go for certain courses, you must have scored highly. And for you to score highly in this country, you must go to good schools. And know what happens in most of these good schools. Now, those who have the natural and are from many of our local schools and could actually be in those positions because they cannot reach those good schools and cannot perform highly, they have been thrown out of the job sector. So you find in the end, many of the people who do good courses, they are people who have money. And for you to have money, you must have been employed in certain area. And for you to get employed, you must have been known by someone. So now many of these people, when they finish school, people all come out plainly, very green. Then as they begin to apply for jobs, you find many of these young people, they get frustrated. Because you submit your CVs, you submit every document that they require of you, you come for employment. Before you do any employment, you can quote me on this. Someone calls you and asks you for something. You get? So
fee.
Now you, as someone who has just stepped out of school, you have not been earning, you have been struggling in school, you have not made any single cent, and someone is asking for, let's say, 10 million from you before you get a job. Where are you going to get this money? You cannot begin to press your parents, because for many of us here, as per our settings, once you finish school, our parents begin to look at you. If anything needs maybe to be taken care of at home, they see you as someone who can offer hand. So now you cannot begin to tell your parents, now that you have paid me in school, I needed a job, but they're asking for 10 million. You get? So it has become so difficult unless you have someone who knows you or someone you know and you can build relation with in any of these areas. So this has, to greater extent, compromised our employment sector. Not only that, but it has compromised the quality of work to be delivered. You will find someone who may not have the qualifications getting a job he's not supposed to be in. We now have engineers actually doing doctors' work in hospitals. We have doctors doing engineering works because the employment sector has been compromised by two mega things: who you know, who knows you, and do you have the cash to pay for you to get that job. So when the quality of work delivered is affected, it comes back to the society. It is thrown back at everyone. If they put an engineer who did economics to take over a construction project, if something happens wrong, it's not only going to affect him or the people who have employed him, but it will affect all of us who are going to use the road. So as it affects us, it's going to make it very hard for us to move our products, or agricultural products, or trade items, and then in the end, our businesses collapse, our farms collapse, again, unemployment. So we can see the greater extent with which we have created a lot of problems to ourselves within this country because of compromise, wanting something, who you know, who knows you. And then two, we have had instances where our government, who have good intentions, yes, striking good bargains with the certain foreign investors. Yes. And now, when these foreign investors come, because their money value is higher than our local currency value, and they can give a better kickback to some of these people who are to offer for them these contracts, they are preferred compared to our local people. And then when these people come in, they come with their conditions. One, if we're going to start our project within this place, 40 or 50% of the employment is going to be our local people. So they are bringing people from their place to come and work
Like
within. Now you find many of these foreign people working in many of our local contracts. And then the young people or the people within the county who are supposed to be taking up these positions are being pushed aside. And these people, when they work, the money they make, they will not leave it in the country. They are going to pick this money and go back with it to their country. So in the end, we reduce the circulation of money. The money that we have available to circulate among ourselves to run our activities smoothly. And then our activities collapse again. When our local industries collapse, many people are pushed out of job. So you find some of these things that we do, sometimes out of selfish interest or out of selfish benefit, affect a lot of people. So it must really be something that we must reflect about. If we really want to do things in the right way, let's do them in the right way. In the end, we're able to save a lot of people. And mind you, the thing that you are doing for the benefit of your family and neglecting the other people, know that there is no way that you are going to move away from this country and run somewhere and leave this people. We are going to all be here. And we will reach a level whereby for us we will not have anything, and for you have something. Conditions will force our hands to begin looking at your things. And then in the end, we create for you insecurity. When we create insecurity for you, our problem will be we will not sleep because we are hungry, but for you, you will not sleep because you are insecure. We can kill you anytime. So we are creating a very toxic society. And this has been evident in some African countries. We've seen it in South Africa, the so-called xenophobia, where people came on streets, hunting for rich people, killing them so that they can grab their things. We have seen this in many of our foreign countries, Venezuela, Cuba. Talk about them. People coming on streets because they have nothing, they hit you who has the something, pick your thing, and they go away. So let us. There is a common country I follow. Is it Haiti? Haiti has become colonized with a lot of gang groups. It's about forming a clique, getting guns, robbing rich people. And as a country, if we continue at this rate, we're not any far from reaching to this level. And my caution is for us to come together, think about these whole things. If there are things to strike compromise on, there must not be sensitive things like the employment sector, like the health sector, like the education sector. Because even agricultural sector, without these things, we will collapse. Okay. So we need to really be honest on the way we do our things, so that in the end, everyone benefits and everyone grows. We live in a peaceful society.
Thank you so much for that elaboration. You know, he has actually talked at length, and I believe most of us can relate. A lot of us understand what exactly he has said. You know, the connection bit of it is no longer a meme. It's a reality. Okay, before it was a meme, but now I think people are feeling the heat. You know, you cannot, we'll continue with that, but before we go for the short break, I'd like to first emphasize on what he said. You know, it's he says this country is compromised by two things: who you know and whether they know you. And then there's the kitu kidogo bit of it. You know, someone wants you to first give them something small before they can offer you a job. And it's even worse like sexually exploit, especially the female people, the female, unemployed youth, to give them jobs. So there's a lot involved in this unemployment bit here that we're talking about. It's so unfortunate that, one time people were complaining about a minister who had I think the entire family in her office, because she had the son, the niece, the what, everybody was in the office. So that is how far we have gone as a country when it comes to employing people, and that explains why most people are unemployed out there. If you are just catching the conversation, you can be a part of this. What do you think about the unemployment rate in this country? What are the causes, and how can we deal with this? You can leave a comment on our YouTube channel, like, subscribe, leave your comment. We read the comments here, and we are also live on Facebook. You can also interact with us on that page. We're still on the discussion of unemployment. Of course, this is Real Talk with me, Ayot, Lillian. Let's go for a short break. We'll see you. We'll continue from where we stopped.
Westnile TV, lighting up the region.
Get more for less on Star Times this Easter season. Cartoon channel for best children entertainment. New global series. Local drama on Mercula TV and football all around the world. Simply make weekly or monthly subscription and enjoy upgrade to the next bouquet. For classic or super bouquet customers, subscribe for a month and enjoy 5 days extra. Family time with Star Times. Star Times is regulated by UCC.
Yeah! So Danny Hype is the latest. And if you love it, take it down low, take it down low. Vibe we need. Yeah. Introducing Devi Dancer. Say shake your body. More on fire. Devi Dancer, yeah. What about that? Thank you for vibing with us. What's up? Hey.
Break your body.
So break your body. So break your body. Break your body. We separate. Break, 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 break your body.
Westnile TV, lighting up the region.
Get more for less on Star Times this Easter season. Cartoon channel for best children entertainment. New global series. Local drama on Mercula TV and football all around the world. Simply make weekly or monthly subscription and enjoy upgrade to the next bouquet. For classic or super bouquet customers, subscribe for a month and enjoy 5 days extra. Family time with Star Times. Star Times is regulated by UCC.
Yeah! So Danny Hype is the latest. And if you love it, take it down low, take it down low. Vibe we need. Yeah. Introducing Devi Dancer. Say shake your body. More on fire. Say dancer, yeah. What about that? Thank you for vibing with us. What's up? Hey.
Break your body.
So break your body. So break your body. Break your body. We separate. Break, 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 break your body. Yeah. said Danny Hype is the latest. And if you love it, take it down low, take it down low. Vibe we need.
Yeah.
Introducing Devi Dancer. Say shake your body. More on fire. Say dancer, yeah. What about that? Thank you for vibing with us. What's up? Hey.
Break your body.
So break your body. So break your body. Break your body. We so break. Break, 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 break your body.
Westnile TV, lighting up the region.
Welcome back from that break. This is The Real Talk with me, Ayot Lillian, and this is Westnile TV, lighting up the region. Every Saturdays from 8 to 10 p.m. and every Thursdays from 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. we are on your screen talking, having real talk like this and on topics that concern us as the people, everyday issues here and that. We try to discuss this and come up with ways on how to handle these things. You can be a part of this conversation by going on our YouTube channel, like, subscribe, and leave your comment. We'll have your contributions read out here. Thank you for staying with us. Brescia, catching the show, Crystal Sugar, thank you so much. Innocent, and many more. And kudos to our producer, that is Aldo, and our director, Elliot. Thank you for this. And we are talking about unemployment, of course. Our two guests here in the studio, we have Dr. Agamba Pario Demos, who is here. He's a veterinary doctor, and he's also the youth speaker for Westnile Parliament, Youth Parliament. We also have the beautiful Miss Aikoro Hatifa, who is the youth leader at Aurora District, the female youth leader for Aurora District in the council. Thank you for joining us in this discussion. And we are discussing one of the issues that is affecting the young people in this country. The young people have been complaining about a lot of things, but unemployment is among the top issues that we've been hearing. So we've looked deeply into unemployment, and we see that some people are actually unemployed out of choice. Like, they don't want to self-employ themselves simply because they underlook some jobs and all that. But we are also saying some of it is not because we intend to, because we have the qualifications. I mean, people have the qualifications, they're capable of doing this. The jobs are available, but then the jobs are given to other people who in some instances don't even have the qualification, but because they know someone who works in a big office, and then the connection bit of it comes. I know it has been a joke, but now we feel the impact of this connection thing. And many people are out there saying, I wish I had a relative who works in that office and this, but that is the sad reality. So we want to go deep into understanding why there is a high rate of unemployment, especially in Uganda. We'll start with Miss Hatifa.
Thank you. This brings me to a very sparkling discussion that was last week on Twitter. Someone posted to ask why in most of the Chinese and Indian companies you find a Ugandan or a local is doing the same job with an Indian or a Chinese national. And you find a Ugandan is paid maybe 1 million, and an Indian is paid 10 million, and yet you're doing the same job. Or even the Indian, you are doing more job than the Indian. Why is that happening? Why is that disparity in the salaries given? Now you find that in such a scenario, somebody feels my work is not appreciated. I'm doing a lot of work, but what I'm getting at the end of the day is not worth it. Why can't I just quit and become unemployed? You get frustrated, and that is why somebody chooses to be unemployed. And again, also, a discussion again, somebody had gone for an interview. You're going for an interview, they're saying you should arrive at 8 a.m. You make sure you leave at 7. You wake up at 6, prepare, package yourself very well. Yeah, you're on time. And remember, you're not taking breakfast because you need to catch up, and so that you've come early. You reach at 8 a.m., no one yet. And these people come at 10. Remember, you're hungry. How am I supposed to talk and express myself well when I'm hungry and complaining in my stomach? How am I supposed to communicate you well? And I have already lost the guts to present myself. The well packaged me has worn out because I started waiting at 7 a.m. up to 10. Nothing is done. So in such a scenario, somebody quits and decides, I'm getting frustrated. Why can't I just be unemployed and be in the streets? I can give an example. I remember I applied for some job, and we were shortlisted and we were called for interview. And in the interview, we were only two of us. We were 2 girls, and we did the interviews. After doing the interviews, they told us the feedback will come after 2 weeks. 2 weeks arrives, no feedback. 3rd week, no feedback. Now, in the 4th week, we get to inquire what is happening. You said 2 weeks, now you're going against your words. What's happening? We need to know what is happening. Are we laid out? Are we taken in? We need to know something. Then somebody is reminded to give your feedback. And then they give your feedback that you're not taken. And good enough, we had exchanged contacts with the girl who had been shortlisted. Yeah. And then she tells me she's not recruited, and I'm not recruited. Now who is being recruited? And yet there was an advert, people applied and did interviews. Who is being recruited? Now we had an understanding why they had taken very long to give feedback was they were looking for somebody, they were looking for somebody to fill in the place. Or even they just called for it. They had the person. They just did it for formalities. And now, in such a scenario, how would you expect me to continue looking for a job from here and there, from one office to another, from one office to another? You keep changing your CV from left, right, center. Still doesn't please someone. And second, there is commercialization. Our employment sector is being commercialized. What you bring on that day of interview is what will give you the job. And of course, maybe let's say you and I, 3 of us have come for an interview. I come with we are all coming for the same job role. I bring my 1 million. You bring your 2 million for the same job role. Demos brings 5. It is automatic. Demos is taking the job because he's the highest bidder. Now, in such a scenario, let's put in our mind that even in our setting right now, I cannot raise that money. Even my parents cannot give me to get a job. I cannot get it. Now, how am I supposed to get such an amount of money to pay for a job for which I'm not even sure I'll get at the end of the day? I just give up and become unemployed. It causes that commercialization too much in the sector. Even here in our districts, in our cities, it's everywhere. Now,
just like corruption.
Corruption, it has eaten up our people. It is from top to the grassroots. What you bring is what will allow you to be taken. And then now technical know-who and not technical know-how. Whether you have the skills, you have everything that takes for the job to be done, it is not considered. What they know is you will learn on job. So long as you've been given the job, you can learn from there. So now people recruit their own, people who they know. Am I related to you in any way? That is what matters now. We are not related. What will I benefit from you at the end of the day? They most clearly stated. Now the whole system is corrupt and it is being compromised. Now we even people who are in grassroots feel it in the service delivery, because the whole system has been compromised from up to down, and you find somebody who has no knowledge, let's say in road construction, has been recruited because he was known by the HR, or the person recruiting knew him, he was given the job, and now he's been given the job, he's been taken to the field to go and perform. He doesn't perform. Skills. Who gets affected? It gets back to the community. That gets affected. Thank you. Let me give the platform to my brother to talk.
What she stated is actually fact. That's the sad reality that we live in. You know, there are people who have the qualification, you have the papers, but then if you don't have the connection, you cannot get the job. You know, we've had people talk saying, I went for this interview. You know, a lady once said she's qualified. She's had experience in her field for over 10 years. She is so qualified. So she says she went for a job interview, and there were only two with some other guy. And then after the interview, the lady called her. There was a lady at the reception called her and told her, do you know the guy is a relative to the other big guy in the office? So she was like, I wish you told me earlier. I wouldn't have wasted my time, you know, going for the interview. Sure. So that is how bad it is. And when we talk about the commercialization bit of it, it's true, because people are out there buying jobs. You know, there was this time someone actually said, I bought a job for my son, and people around were all trying to understand, how did you buy the job? And that was it. That is how it goes today in the country. And that explains the high rate of unemployment in this country. There are so many causes that are related to this. So I will turn to Doctor to list some of the causes of unemployment and how best we can deal with this problem.
Yeah, thank you so much. Unemployment, the cause is immense. We all share some blame in it. So I would love to shift it one-sided.
Okay.
All of us share the blame. One, from the person who wants to be employed, we share blame in the aspect that sometimes our attitude is not good. Attitude towards your profession, attitude towards positive thinking, where you compromise yourself from being creative, attitude to humble yourself and pick from low. Many of us have very high expectations. We believe that because maybe I've done 5 years course, if anything, if I'm to get a job, I must begin from 2.5 million. You set yourself very high bar. So when opportunities present themselves with 500, 600, 1 million, you'll be like, this is not.
It's not my kind of job.
We forget that experience is very necessary as we apply for the different job sectors. And where you get experience is from the little things. So many of us want to begin from big.
If I may interject, I love the point where you're talking about experience. So we have these job adverts that, you know, you have fresh graduates who are available, they have the skills, they have the zeal to work, and they're really ready to work. But then, you know, you see someone wants to apply, and then they want a 10 years experience. How has that affected?
It has affected a lot. That's why I said that.
Is that realistic anyway?
It's not realistic. The blame is immense. We all share the blame. I'm actually coming to that point. And then many of us have gone to school, but we are unable to do what we went to school for. Find someone has finished 4, 5, 6 years doing a particular course. When he or she comes out, cannot do anything. So this blame comes to the person who is seeking for employment. And then on the other side, parents also say a greater blame. We have forcefully made our children to do things that they do not desire. I want my children to be a doctor. I want my child to be a doctor, to be a lawyer, to be a nurse. Yet this person naturally maybe has a talent in music. So the person finishes medicine, doesn't have the zeal to even work, and is all there. So obviously he's going to become unemployed. You get the point? And then two, we set ourselves too much conditions. I have a family here in Kampala. If you are to work, get a job within Kampala. So opportunities that come from Arua, Gulu, where they are not for you. So you are pushed out of the employment. So you become unemployed. And then the greater blame is by those in authority, whether in government, private sector, and men's. Sometimes we are not honest in whatever we do. For example, if you look at our education system now, I will say it does not so much suit what the direction we are taking. Now, when you look at our country, Uganda, we are now looking at industrialization, we are looking at ICT, we are looking at tourism, we are looking at agriculture, and to mention. But go to our universities, see how many people are doing these particular courses. See where the majority number is. It means we are producing graduates that we cannot absorb. So we're going to create, and because we're now taking the government puts more emphasis or more resources in the agricultural sector, in the tourism, in the ICT. So in the end, we cannot absorb the number that we're producing. And then two, we have set a very bad precedence. The one we're talking about. Who do you know? Who knows you? Without this, you cannot get a job. So if I happen to luckily get a job, I'm likely going to repeat what has happened to me. So in the end, the employment takes only my lineage and pushes out those who are outside my lineage. So the unfortunate, like the ones, people like us who come from villages, we are unable to get employed. You get? Mm-hmm. And then we have reached an extent whereby we want to look at our offices as family thing. So we only direct things to our family and push away others. And then when you look at, there's a point that I'm forgetting, but I hope I'll remember. The point of, yes, the point of government trying to levy heavy taxes on the private sectors. The only way that we can likely survive is if we are fair enough to our local industries. And these local industries build capacity or expand to a level whereby they can be able to absorb enough people in the employment sector. Then there we can be able to solve unemployment problem. But if we continue with the idea of levying high taxes that strangle businesses or makes it very hard for business to thrive, it means the business will only be able to pick very few, and then the many will be left unemployed. Because if you look at our public sector, how much can it absorb? We have around 78 to 80% young people. All these are energetic people who can actually do a lot of work. If only we strengthened our private sector by giving them even tax incentives where they can be able to do trade for some period of time, like how we do it for private sector, we can be able to make them grow. And their growth will be a solution itself to our unemployment challenge, something that we have not looked at.
Okay.
Then secondly, it's only of late that we are beginning to pay attention to talent. I've seen the president giving out money for local artists and doing this and that. But ideally, if we were to build the entertainment industry, something that we have seen in Europe and in US work perfectly, we get better structures for people to do athletics, better structures for people to do football, better studios for people to do music, to mention even dancing. Now we have seen these ghetto kids doing very well and they're making money. If we had done something here within local and we create competition maybe among people who can dance and what, would we not be having such kind of thing within here other than seeing our own dancing from outside? So if we strengthen our entertainment industry, we can be able to absorb actually a lot of young people, because people are born with different talents. Not all of us are meant to go to the education process to get a job. But with the natural that we have, we can be able to employ ourselves. So the government needs to look at the entertainment industry. How can we strengthen it? For example, now here in Westnile TV, many young people are being employed here. We have Chukuchuku show, where people come here. We have the late night, where young people come here. This is all entertainment, and we are seeing the effect of it. Can we strengthen these and make many young people to get on board? So the government needs to look at some of these critical areas.
Okay.
We so much brag about agriculture being our backbone, but how much have we done to make agriculture sector to grow? When you go to our villages, how much can someone do with the hoe? Can the government be able to afford things or better mechanizations for our local people? Can we provide tractors at sub-county level to plow land? And when we plow land, how much we can be employed to do the other bit of it? Then the biggest thing that we have failed to do is mindset. I've seen it in budget. I don't know how much has been done about it, but there is need for us to come down to the roots and talk to the people and make them understand that they can actually do certain things. Here, we just say, you be creative, get holes, dig, but we don't inspire these people to actually do certain things. And then two, many of our programs that we roll out to be as a source of employment or to create livelihood for our people, we roll them out without actually preparing the people. For example, you come on ground, you just come to a row. I think people of Arua need the Frisian cows. Then you give out Frisian cows. Many of our young people here have never had the chance to actually learn about how these Frisian cows perform. So someone picks this cow, he begins to think of what can be done for this Frisian cow, begins to feed this Frisian cow maybe on piglet feces, because he's not aware or he does not have the knowledge about what's supposed to be done. Then in the end, the person does not actually realize the potential of the productivity of this cow. So if we are rolling out programs with the intent to help to change the livelihood of our people, we must be able to prepare them so that when these programs come, it gets them prepared and they can be able to pick on well. We have very wonderful projects. We have the youth livelihood, we have the PDM that has come, but how can we hand them yoga to mention? How can we make people to actually benefit out of these? These are very good projects with good intentions, but the people on the ground are not being prepared. For example, if you go to my village and you're going to ask someone about yoga, the person will even wonder what it is all about. But if you had prepared these people mentally, then they will be able to. Beyond that, there is actual need for us to do mind change activity in the entire country. Even for those who have been to school, for those who have not gone to school, people lack direction. Many of us finish school, we even don't know where we must go next. So, if we had prepared people along some of these areas, then they will know what is expected out of them, what is to be done, and then in the end, we have minimum unemployment cases. In US, it's now going down. It's coming to 2%, and it's going down, and it's going down. It's because the government has come down to reason with the people. For us here, we want to sit at our comfort zone and think for the people. I'm here in a rural town. I want to think for people in Nigeria. I actually don't know what the ground things they need for them to come out of the challenge that I'm seeing. So it's important we are able to come down to the roots, get to understand and reason with the people, work with the people, and make everyone grow.
Okay, thank you so much for that input. It has been so elaborate. It has actually captured most of the causes of unemployment in this country, and also the role of government and this employment and how they can actually deal with these unemployment issues. So among the issues, we have to look at mindset change and also get to understand the needs of these people, because there's some government programs that are also rolled in the communities where actually they're different from the need of the people. So it's important for them to understand what the people actually need. If there are people who are into farming, then you should know what programs to give them. If there are people who are pastoralists, then you should also understand them. You as an individual also, you need to pay attention to yourself. He talked about talent. It's not through education that you can only get employed. You can use your talent. I know people in sports who have made it just because of talent, and they're doing just well. We are going for a short break, but we'll come back to still talk about some of the causes of unemployment and how we can deal with this problem. Don't go away.
Westnile TV, lighting up the region.
Get more for less on Star Times this Easter season. Cartoon channel for best children entertainment. New global series. Local drama on Mercula TV and football all around the world. Simply make weekly or monthly subscription and enjoy upgrade to the next bouquet. For classic or super bouquet customers, subscribe for a month and enjoy 5 days extra. Family time with Star Times. Star Times is regulated by UCC.
Yeah! Sadani Hype is the latest. And if you love it, take it down low, take it down low. Vibe we need.
Yeah.
Introducing Devi Dancer. Say shake your body. More on fire. Devi Dancer, yeah. What about that? Thank you for vibing with us. What's up? Hey.
Break your body.
So break your body. So break your body. Break your body. We say break, 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 break your body.
Westnile TV, lighting up the region.
Welcome back from that break. This is The Real Talk with me, Ayot, Lillian, here on Westnile TV. Every Saturdays from 8 to 10 p.m. and our repeats run on Thursdays from 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. Don't miss this discussion. You can engage, we can get into the discussion by going on our YouTube channel. You leave your comments and we'll have your comments live here. You can also get us on our Facebook page at Westnile TV. We're on Star Times and on Zuko respectively. effectively, you can always catch that show. And our topic for today is unemployment among the youth. We say this is one of the biggest problems that the youth of today face, and much has not been done about it. So we are looking into some of the causes and how we can deal with this problem, and also the impact it has had on individuals. If you have missed this discussion, you can still follow us on our YouTube channel to know what we have talked about. In the studio we have Dr. Demos Agamba, who is a veterinary doctor, and we have Miss Aikoru Hatifa, who is a communication specialist and a journalist, a colleague in practice. Glad to have you guys here. So let's go to, we're still talking about how best can we deal with the problem of unemployment in this country particularly.
Thank you, Lillian. And first of all, I will say the whole system, employment system, needs to be cleaned up from top to level to down because of the existing corruption that is already in the system. The system needs to be cleaned and properly wiped so that it can even accommodate somebody who is down in village and does not have a very big person in an office to have an opportunity to be employed in a government office or in an organizational setting. Two, our parents need to let us do things that we want. We should be given the privilege to do things out of passion, not actually pressurizing us to do things or dictating things that we're supposed to do to please them, and yet at the end of the day, we do not actually like what we're doing, and we sit back and remain unemployed because actually, after all, it was my parents who pushed me to do a doctorate course, just the way demonstrated. I remember we went for a school outreach somewhere. A guy, when it reached question and answer session, a guy writes and says he's gifted in music. He loves singing. That is what he feels like doing, and that is where he feels all his energy should be vested in. And then his parents have denied him the chance. And he's also talented in football. You can see now two things at a go. And now he says he performs well in school, yes, but still he feels he's missing out because he needs to do he needs to sing, and he needs to play football at the same time. Now, just as Brother Demo said, the parents need to allow their kids to do what they want so that they can willingly do it out of passion. And he stated that the entertainment system, or the entertainment should be, there needs to be more investment in it, so that even our youths who are unemployed can be employed in that sector. Somebody who has not gone to school and has talent in singing can be employed in singing, because at the end of the day, he knows that he has security. And he knows he has a platform where he can his capacity can be developed, because we have an organized system of entertainment or even football kind of setting that is modernized, and somebody can earn a living out of it. And also, as the young people, the blame also goes back on us. What we can do is we need to go back to factory setting. We need to learn how to package ourselves. Some of us, we have bad attitude, just the way my brother stated. We have bad attitude towards job, and we are lazy at the same time. The president stated clearly when he went out of the country, and he said Ugandans are lazy. We don't want to work. You find it's raining, somebody excuses themselves from going to work and decides to sleep. Yet you know your work at the office is pending because you are not there. Okay. So we need to change our mindset. We need to go back to factory setting, change our mindset, and package ourselves well, so that even our employers can be pleased, even if we do not have the 10 years experience, even if we do not have we do not have somebody we know in an office. But now how you package yourself and you present yourself, they will be like, man, this is who we want. he has the presence. He has the presence even in his CV. His CV is well organized. His hair is well trimmed. The way he's dressed and shows that this person really needs the job. So we need to package ourselves well and show the people who are recruiting us that we are really interested in the job. And
okay.
And one thing that we need to do, just the way he stated, we need to do sensitization. Our people needs to change their mindset. We have very bad attitude towards work. Generally, as the laborers, I don't know, we have very bad attitude towards the work, be it farm work, be it office work and stuff. And when he stated that we have very high expectations, how do you want to be? How do you expect to be paid 10 million, yet you're starting a job? Is that possible? It's not realistic. So we need to calm down as young people. I know we have so many expectations when we get on job, but can we take it slow on ourselves and know that we also have our own issues that is making us unemployed, and first address ourselves before we go on to start blaming the system that is corrupt, before we go into blaming our parents that they are not providing us the support that we need to be employed. Yes.
Thank you so much for that elaborate advice to our young people. I believe we've all heard what she has said. So, Dr. Demosa, in 2 minutes, as a youth, as the speaker for Westnile Youth Parliament, what is your advice to the young people out there in 2 minutes?
Yeah, my first recommendation I want to make goes to government and maybe legislators. One thing we must clearly dedicate time for and debate is our employment policy. Once we do this, it's going to help us to address a lot of issues. We will be able to set the minimum wage someone who is employed is supposed to get, depending on what job he or she is doing. We will be able to set conditions on some of these requirements that people expect out of us. 10 years experience, man. What? Employment policy will help to protect employment sector greatly. And it will actually help to also regulate some of these instances of corruption that we already had in the employment sector. My advice to the young people is, I do understand that the impact of unemployment is immense. It can bring about frustration, can bring about laziness, it can bring about even getting lost into drug abuse, it can bring about lack of development. I've seen that many of us come up with well-planned years of how we want to live, but then as time goes by, we realize we cannot actually achieve the things within the times that we had anticipated. I need us to understand that it's not good to sometimes be too rigid. Where possible, let's flex. Too rigid on your targets, too rigid on what you're supposed to do, too rigid on how much you're supposed to earn should not be there. Let us try to see how we can be able to flex around and make things work out. And then frustration, getting lost into drug. I won't recommend it. If anything, like I said, employment can be out of personal initiative. Let's think creatively. I think someone sat somewhere, thought creatively to put up Westnile TV here, and we can see how it has created an employment opportunity for maybe him or her and the people working here. You as well can think of something to do. However small you may begin, trust the process, you'll be able to reach there. So I want to say that as young people, we always need to be hard. If there are things, let us use the rightful channels. Let us not get lost into chaotic instances that can make us to lose our lives. If we are able to put them rightly, we can be able to get solutions. One thing that I strongly disagree with is I've seen many of us feel that for us we're against government, so if government rolls out any project, it's not meant for us because we're against the government. Then in the end we sideline some of these projects, yet those who are positive and pick on this project with good intent, they end up actually developing out to some of these projects. The PDM is coming, let us embrace it, let us utilize it effectively, and let us make it to grow us. So I want to say that I'm glad to have been here and to have shared my thoughts and opinions. I am hopeful next time we will have another time. Thank you so much and have a lovely evening. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Parodemos Agamba, for all those words to our dear youth. And thank you, Ms. Aikoro Hatifa, our youth representative in Arua District on the Youth Council. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts on the issue of unemployment. And you have been the voice of the youth out there. And I believe the responsible people are going to pick out this, especially our governments, to work on this. So among this, what they talked about, you know, one of the biggest causes of unemployment in this country is the issue of connection, commercialization, and also the attitude we have as young people that we have to work on. We have our YouTube comments coming in. We have one from the Dratero Rachel who says the recordings of this talk show should be shared widely and reach the different stakeholders because it's surely going to change and touch some lives. Thank you so much, Dr. and Ayokoro. Thank you so much, Dratero, for catching this show. And we also say you should pay attention to your talent and your passion, because it's not always a white collar job. You can use your talent and your passion to your advantage to create a job, to earn a living rather than staying unemployed. We have Odasi Fred who says, nice theme guys, I'm connecting from Logazi, Green City, Marachian boy. Order praise. Thank you so much, Mr. Odasi Fred, for catching the show, and many other people who are catching us right now. And we have Sydney who says, Sydney live in Barara, always my favorite. Ayot, thanks for the show. Thank you, Sydney. And I know you were once here discussing a topic with our viewers. Thank you so much for catching the show. Thanks for the love. And that is it for today's episode on unemployment. Every Saturdays from 8 to 10 on Westnile TV. Our repeats run on Thursday. This is The Real Talk with me, Ayot Lillian. See you again next Saturday. Stay, don't change the channel. We have the late night program with MC Melan and Simon Living coming next. Have a good evening.
Westnile TV, lighting up the region.
Get more for less on Star Times this Easter season. Cartoon channel for best children entertainment. New global series. Local drama on Mercula TV and football all around the world. Simply make weekly or monthly subscription and enjoy upgrade to the next bouquet. For classic or super bouquet customers, subscribe for a month and enjoy 5 days extra. Family time with Star Times. Star Times is